Let me make sure. Them shits ain't no 320. Let me see.
But 350, like, for what was it, the cargos?
Yeah.
350.
I bought a pair. I bought a pair of Tavernetti unraveled pair of pants, which is where that pattern came from. Out of Saks Fifth Avenue, $950. That's where the pants came from. That's what the silhouette was based off of. So I was willing to pay $950 for that because I believed like, now this shit is hard. The fit is different. You know what I mean? The pockets, and this is like 3-4 years ago. And that's it. That's just where I'm at with it. I'm like, if I paid that much for a quality pant, and I have a lot of Stone Island pants, I pay for the quality. So
yeah, I think you should pay for quality because it'll last longer.
Yeah. Let me see what these pants go for.
Bottoms. But without justification?
It's made in America. Minimum wage in New York City is $15 an hour. You're buying stuff from Turkey and Portugal where their minimum wage is $5 an hour.
Thanks.
All right? And you're buying it from companies that are distributing internationally, which means that they're buying and making 10, 15,000 units of a pant. So their labor is cheaper, their production cost is cheaper, and they charge you more or just as much. And then you're going to say, oh, because that's Stone Island. All right. That's Stone Island. They getting $250. A big ass company get it for $250. So why would you think a smaller company can do it better than Stone Island does it? If Stone Island has mastered that pant at $250, why do you think I'm gonna be able to master that pant at $250? I can't. I don't do those numbers. I don't have that production connection. All I could do is just give you a pant that's quality, and it's $385, not $350. But I'm saying, it's pants up here. I'm looking.
Yeah. What about the $750, the leather ones?
$750, yeah. Same, yeah. Somebody bought the top. Somebody bought the top for $950. So, you know, it's people out there. Like, that's what I understand. It's a narrow audience. People who gonna gravitate towards that is a narrow audience. And it's cool. Like, I don't make clothes for everybody. I accepted that. Like, my clothes is for people who really fuck around with this. People who like me, who would go to the store and spend $900 on a pair of pants because they like them. That's my audience. That's who I'm really targeting. People who like just fuck with quality, low key shit. And that's not everybody, because most people who spend that type of money, they want everybody to know what they're wearing. I spend $900 on a pair of pants. You gonna know these shits is Stone Island. You gonna know these shits is Louis. I don't be on it like that. Like me, if it's hard, it's hard. So.
I'll spend $900 on a pant, and you won't even know it's a $900 pant. It'll look like a regular ass jean, but when you get down to the nitty gritty of like the shit that we know about, like the production of it, the fucking it's quality. It's not no lamb wool. You feel what I'm saying? It's like a real delicate leather. You know, that you spent time sourcing and shit like that. Then you really like appreciate it. That's where I be coming from. Like, if I could understand like the process of how this pant came to be $900, where you could justify the price to me.
Yeah, I could always justify.
Yeah, I mean,
my price. That's what I'm saying. My prices ain't me just trying to like run up a bag. My price that pant is $350 because to sew one of them. If I charge any qualified sewer to sample that pant $250, $250. That's how much they charge.
Tough.
So where am I getting money at? The fabric is not cheap. Fabric is $10 to $15 a yard. So add 30 on that. So let's say he hit me $250 plus 30. It's $280. I'm making $100 on the pant. Like, that's what I'm saying.
And then still gotta ship it.
Still gotta ship it. You know what I mean? Most of the time, like, if it's something that size of an order, it's gonna be free shipping. So it'd be like people, you know. But like you said, I'll be aware. You gotta educate the customer. They don't get it. To them, it's $380. Nah, I'm good. But it's cool. I'm like, all right. You know, it's not for you.
Let me ask you a question, see.
What's the word?
When you first started, did you think that these would be the obstacles you would have to face?
Nah, definitely did not. Nah, I never thought that people would be such an obstacle on this journey. I thought like you get a team and y'all just ride it out, and you know you have people who don't make it to the end because there's differences and shit like that. But I didn't know that just trying to get qualified people to be committed and work for you and work with you would be such a task and such a burden in itself. But lessons learned every day, man.
How you worked around that?
I just try to automate as much stuff as I can now. I try to outsource overseas where they're a little bit more eager to work. That's what it is. I just try to remove people outside of my processes as much as I can now, because I realize that even if they're gonna stick around for 5 months, 4 months, they may not stick around for 5 years, 4 years, and you're just gonna constantly be recycling people, retraining people, and I don't want to do that. I want to have a system in place where if it's a automation or if it's a person, it's locked in for the long term. There's too much energy and time that goes into training. So that's my biggest thing I'm learning now. Is like, all right, where can I automate my processes? What job can I outsource overseas? Like, things
Did
like
you
that.
see any benefit in the turnover and bringing new people in, maybe fresh ideas or anything like that?
Me personally, like, I think it's good, to have fresh ideas and fresh eyes on something. But when it comes to the day-to-day operations, like, that's a creative. I look at that, like, fresh eyes in a creative space. Yeah, or even fresh ideas and fresh eyes on how you operate. Good, because sometimes you be so invested in the system you don't really analyze the system. But executing, nah, I don't want new people executing. I want the same people doing the same thing over and over and over. Basically, I want robots. I want robots. I want us to move technology forward so that small business owners could have some type of just way to access an affordable workforce, because in New York it's not affordable no more with inflation and then the minimum wage. You really can't, as a small business, you can't even afford to have 3-4 people on your staff unless you really clearing some good margins and good profit. But that's my thing. It's just the people have become one of the biggest hurdles at this point. Just being around the right people, hiring the right people, keeping the right people.
Last question. Do you think that being the day-to-day operational manager takes away from some of the, I guess, humanness, where you just don't see the workers no more, you just see the work?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think being so, as the operational manager and as the owner, it takes away from some of that? It puts more pressure on it.
It definitely puts more pressure on it. I don't feel it takes away from the human aspect of it. It just, like you said, it's very high pressure, and that's one thing I'm coming to learn. Having a staff to manage and a staff that reports to you it's a lot of pressure. And if you're not built for that type of pressure and that type of responsibility, don't even get into trying to grow your company. Don't scale. If you somebody who don't deal well with like high pressure and high tense situations, I can't really put it in words to explain the scenarios, but yeah, if you're not somebody who's comfortable under just high pressure environment, I wouldn't recommend scaling, because I am a person that can work good under pressure, and this shit is overwhelming. And this shit is just like stressful. And I pride myself on being able to work through shit and not make excuses. And I ain't this was one of the hardest hurdles I had to overcome these last couple weeks, but I ain't make excuses, but it just let me know, like, I'm not built for this, not for the long term. I'm not built to scale. Just the way I operate my system, I can't. People don't want to work that hard. I get burnt out from working that hard. So it just tells me my system is flawed. And that's what I took from it. So now it's like, all right, let me fix my system. Let me automate some things. Let me outsource some things so I'm not putting so much responsibility on myself and my staff. And that's one thing I said to myself. You can never have a dream bigger than the ambitions of your team. Because I got this big dream, but if nobody want to help me execute that dream, then it's too big for my team. And then the dream is not going to get ever brought to life. So that's something I learned. It's like, people don't want to work that hard. And if you got this dream that's requiring people to work hard, unless you're going to pay them that good bag, nobody's going to work that hard. Only you going to work that hard because that's your dream. But the other people, they're going to just punch in and punch out. So that was a big learning experience for me, because I just thought the people I had on my team was fully invested in me and the vision and just a whole movement. But just multiple times I've seen that wasn't the case, and I just had to adjust.
And you're the last man standing now?
Last man standing.
One man band.
One man band. And as you know, and it started that way, and you just have these ideas of entrepreneurship and growing and like being big, and oh, I want to get like Supreme, I want to get like Kith, and I want to get like Stussy, and all these you have these streetwear endeavors and dreams, and then you realize I'm good being small, because to get to that level you gotta have a big bag and you gotta have a solid team, like people that's not gonna quit because another opportunity presented itself, or people who not going to just leave because they don't want to work no more. You got to have a super solid team. And my team was not solid. I thought it was, but it wasn't. So.
Do you blame people for taking those opportunities?
Yeah, I blame myself, because you're the lead. The only person you could blame. I can't blame nobody for quitting on me, for stealing from me. I can't blame nobody but myself, because I bring people around, right? I try to judge the character. I hold the responsibility. That's why I say, if you're not somebody who work good with high pressure, eating all the responsibility, good and bad, don't scale. Keep it where you the only one you got to worry about. And that's where I'm at now. I'm just putting everything back on me. No responsibility, as far as little responsibility as far as managing people and holding people accountable for things. I hold myself accountable for everything now. And I might overwork myself and I don't bite off more than I can chew, but I know that I'm gonna be one day I'm gonna be doing packaging and shipping, and the next day I might be doing accounting, and then the next day I might be doing social media. Like before, I would just do one thing and have everybody doing all these other things. But for a lot of reasons, that doesn't work for me in the long term. So just gotta adjust. That's the biggest thing, is just adjusting, and hopefully you got enough money to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
And the process. Because doing one thing really great is something that not really my thing. Like, I like to do a whole bunch of things subpar. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm good at this, I'm good at that.
What they say, a jack of all trade is a master of none.
Yeah, but it's better than a master. You know what I'm saying? It's a longer version of that. Mm-hmm. Jack of all trade.
But a master of none.
Is the master of none, but better than the master of one, or some shit like that. I think is the long form of it. Mm-hmm. So
no, I get it.
Still better than the master of one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really my thing, is like do a lot of things really well, and maybe one or two things I do really great. You know what I'm saying? But I like to jump around with the ADHD. I like to just be moving around.
Facts.
Yeah. I think if you got a process where it's like you cool with like you said, one day I got to do accounting. And I think, like, being cool with that, like, this is the thing I got to focus on today. Yeah. And then, like, tomorrow I got to be packaging. And, like, just having that process, like, every day knowing, like, this got to be done, this. And
but there's a lot of people who don't feel comfortable with that. People, like you said overwhelmed. People get overwhelmed with that. And it's this fantasy of, like, entrepreneurship. Now, this shit it's like, you think it's like this resort. No, this shit is the swamp. This shit is the fucking, you get money from it. So it's like, you could take off your swamp clothes and go to the club and go out that night, but when you get back, you back in the swamps, you back in the trenches. Entrepreneurship is really like that ass. You see the memes. I quit my 9 to 5 to work for myself. Now I work, 12 hours a day.
Right.
It's the fact. Like, and if that's what you're not ready for, don't do it. Don't hop on the entrepreneur bandwagon. If you do, keep it small. Keep it, they like to say, my little company, keep it your little company.
Yeah. That's a hater.
My little thing on the side, keep it your little thing on the side, trust me. Because when you try to grow it into something that is like self-sustaining and you could eat off of it and feed families, it's a lot of work, hella work. And you need a solid team. You got to have your mental state, your health, everything got to be up to par. Because it's long nights every day, consistently. Sometimes no sleep, little to no sleep.
In this economy, you don't think that team is attainable?
I think everything's attainable. No, it's all attainable. It's, can I afford it? And I can't afford it.
Yeah.
Cannot afford the quality of people that I need for this system. So my system got to get overhauled. And that's one thing I would give. I never thought about this, just never had input or insight. When you start in a company, you gotta really think about just the structure of your company. Are you is it Are you an actively income type of company? Do you got to work mad hard for your money, or do you have systems in place where you don't got to work that hard to get the money? And I never thought about that when I was starting a business, because all I was trying to do was make money, make clothes, but I never thought about how much work I had to do to make the clothes, because I was just doing it, and then the scaling of it became harder because it was so much work involved in making the clothes. So that's one thing I know now. Like any business I start moving forward, these other projects I'm working on, I make sure it's like passive income is connected to it, because there's no real passive income connected to clothing. Somebody has to work to get that money for clothes. Somebody got to sew. Somebody got to ship. It ain't no just get the money and sit back. Even the boss got to do some work. Like, you know what I mean? So that's one thing I'm really mindful of when I develop future businesses and projects that I'm working on. Like, if it's heavy active income, I don't want it. Like, for example, a restaurant, zero interest. I have zero interest in ever opening a restaurant, because I know how much work has to go into every day running a restaurant. So shit like that don't interest me.
It would just be more of the same.
More the same. And that's what the money ain't worth the stress. Like for me, like this money is cool, but it ain't worth the stress. So I gotta restructure my shit so that I'm getting money or some type of money, but that stress gotta go. I think COVID really showed the world that. We was talking about that. What's really valuable, what's important in my life, and it ain't stress and working. That ain't the thing that's gonna make me happy every day. And I think workers see that, bosses see that, the world is seeing that, and that's why we see such a crazy new job market, a new shift in like how we work and who we work for. Just gotta adjust.
What do you think your company offers to a person that is like brand new in the workforce?
Just hands-on experience. Like hands-on experience and seeing how a small business operates. There's just not many companies like me around, like Lyfestyle around. You don't find small clothing companies that produce in America at their own shop, offer this level of customization. So I think somebody who's interested in fashion and clothing, you just see like a different business model compared to the industry standard. I definitely don't operate on an industry standard. I offer autonomy. I'm becoming more and more flexible as far as with the people I work with, they schedule, what they can do. Just, so that level of autonomy, like I want to do this, I want to work here. I try to ask my, the people who work with me, like, what do you want to do? And put them in positions that's enhancing their skill. But, obviously, I'm not offering the opportunities and perks of an Amazon or Uber or Apple, Nike. But for a small business, I do the best that I can to acquire a decent talent. But
if there's one thing you could pinpoint that, like you said, you just compare yourself to those big companies, and I value what you do here, which is why I always come back, because I know how much work it goes in. No, for a fact, how much work it goes in, and how much work you do, and how much work I see the team do. So if there's one thing that you could say that you could offer a person of value, like that one key takeaway that they would get from experience here, what you think that would be? I could tell you what I think it is.
All right, first let me tell you what I think, and then you tell me. I think what I would want somebody who worked here or working here to take away from this depends on your position. But one thing I would say that I want anybody who works here to take away is just be flexible, be adaptable. Have good adaptability in the sense that like I said, one day you do this, the next day you may have to do that, and the next day you may have to do that. But a lot of times when you work somewhere, you just like, oh, I didn't sign up for that. That's not in my job description. But if you aspire to own your own and do your own thing, you gotta just be comfortable with that. So I don't think that's a good mindset to have, and I would try to get all people who work with me out of that mindset. Like, yeah, we just gotta adjust, we gotta adapt, you gotta move around from department to department, and that's good because you're gonna learn the whole company, and then eventually you take that knowledge and insight and you go somewhere and do your own thing, but you got a good point of reference. That's what I would say. What I would want people to take is just be adaptive. What would you say you took away?
I think the work ethic that you have really rubbed off on me. Like the the day in and day out. Like, I never seen you not show up. You feel what I'm saying? Even on the rough days. There was a few, you know what I mean? And
Definitely.
it was like,
well, I've had some
you
rougher
feel
than
me?
that now.
Even when, like, I'm away and I see you, like, up at 6 a.m. and I'm like, oh, goddamn. Up at 5 a.m. and then you're not going down till it's, like, 2 a.m. You feel me? So, like, that work ethic of, like, a person that has a passion and something that they've grown for the last 10 years to not waver and for that shit to not change for that long, it stands out, and it stands amongst, like, a lot of motherfuckers that I would put at that. Like, the highest level of, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you become, like, expert.
Yeah, I think on any level of entrepreneurship, not just clothing, I think if you want to be successful on building something, you gotta just have that obsessive addiction to work on it at some point, like usually in the beginning parts of it. And like you say, you hope that you could keep the fire and passion in you. And 2, 3 years, 5 years later, you still got that same dedication. But I don't think you could really build something of substance and solid foundation without a moment in time with that type of like obsessive commitment to your passion and your project. But yeah, that's all I know. I've been like going down hard since I've been in like high school, junior high school. I've been always just a hard worker. So to work for myself, I'm only gonna go 2 times as hard when you're working for yourself. So, but yeah, you know, I appreciate that, and I definitely will. I try to get my staff to, you know, work as hard as possible. Like that's the thing, is like, you always, what I realize, an employer will always be at odds with his employees. Not always, but most of the time, because you as an employee want to get so much out of your staff. And your employees, they just want the check without doing the work, or doing as little bit of work as possible.
Some employees.
That's why I said at times, yeah, some. You do get some that will just give you your all, and they just, you know, they want to constantly work hard. But from my experience, the people that have not all of them, just some of them, most of them, they come around looking to get the money and the benefits without doing the work, or all of the work, trying to find corners to cut. Like, no, bro, fold it this way. I know it's one extra step, but we got to fold it this way, because that, you know, little things like that. It's like, don't cut the corners in life. And that's why I like that Wendy's. I think I always tell people that, like, when they ask Dave Thomas why his burgers were square, he said, because I don't cut corners. And that's how I'm on it. Like, people around me, I just try to tell them, don't cut corners, because it's going to hurt you in the long run. Your foundation not going to be solid. So when you get that opportunity to scale and grow, you're like, wait, hold on. I didn't even think about that, because you never put all the work in. You only did half the work. So, but I don't know. I just don't think people work that hard no more. I tell you, every day I be losing faith in people and just the work ethic of Americans. Like, we just don't want to work hard for nothing, but we want it all. And it's scary. It's really scary, the future of the workforce and the future of entrepreneurs. Like, I be seeing these young kids with clothing brands. I tell them, if this is my competition, I got another 10, 15 years in this, easy. Because they can't outwork me. They could be more creative than me, but they can't outwork me. And that's the thing, is like, it's a lot of work to get your ideas out. Like, you've seen some of the stuff. We've been working on some of these projects for 2-3 months now, trying to get some of this stuff out. It's a lot of work if you're trying to do dope stuff. And they don't got the commitment, they don't got the work ethic. And I know I'm going to beat them. So, keeps me at an advantage, but I don't know about the country and the state of this economy, what we're going to be looking at in 5-10 years. I don't know. But
big talk.
I think you should do the podcast too with us. I'm going to talk to you more about it, but